Think it's too late to embrace your identity? Well, think again. Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. A podcast helping 2S LGBTQI plus people embrace self love and self respect so you can celebrate yourself with pride. In this episode, you'll discover how suppressing your LGBTQ identity can silently impact your mental, emotional, and physical health, what it truly means to deconstruct faith and rebuild identity on your own terms, why it's never too late to reclaim your pride and live authentically, no matter your age. Today's conversation is about moving forward into your truth, your LGBTQ identity, and your pride today. Hello again, I'm Steph Vachon, and I'm a human being. Welcome back to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Embrace your 2S LGBTQIA plus identity with pride through self-love. No matter where you stand in the 2S LGBTQIA plus spectrum, we are all connected. And if you ever struggle to fully love and respect yourself, you're not alone. And this podcast is here to help you. As someone who has navigated my own journey of self-acceptance as a queer, I know the power of hearing voices that reflect our own experiences. In this podcast, you'll hear real stories and conversations that leave you with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and the confidence to embrace who you are with pride. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I will share my journey, and we will all share journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Today's guest is Ken Worthley, a former American Baptist pastor from the United States who spent decades preaching while hiding his true identity. After years of internal struggles and deep personal deconstruction, Ken now lives in Brazil, where he has embraced his LGBTQ identity and rebuilt his life with authenticity, freedom, and pride. His story is one of courage, transformation, and truth. So, Ken, thank you so much for being here with us today, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
For most of your life, you were preaching the gospel to others. What was the moment you realized you needed to start telling the truth to yourself?
The whole time I was a practicing pastor in an American Baptist church, I lied. I hid my identity and my desires. I suppressed the fact that I was kind of attracted to guys. I preached many great sermons and a big chunk of sermons that were anti-gay, anti-LGBT. We were not a welcoming church. We were not a church in which would welcome a gay person or even a gay couple in our church. And so the question for me is, when did I start trying to tell the truth to myself?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a long process. After my divorce with my wife, we had 2 children in Spokane, Washington. And she came down the stairs and said to me, "How long have you known you were gay?" And being the great pastor and the great liar that I am, I said, I'm not gay. I'm not gay at all. And that was the first time in our marriage we addressed the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there in our marriage, in our family, but nobody talked about it. As the American society changed, as culture changed, Oprah Winfrey having guests on TV with gay guys being married, there was a lot of pressure of suppression. It wasn't until that moment that I began to use the word gay. And so I went through years of therapy. I found a good therapist that didn't prescribe a bunch of narcotics and drugs to keep me awake and keep me to sleep, to get me to work. I transitioned out of the church and got another master's degree in education and became a teacher. that kind of took some of the pressure of being an avid liar. But as time went on, I really began to deconstruct my faith,
Mm.
deconstruct my religion, my prison that I self constructed, my theology. The therapist told me to begin to write in a journal. I'm not a big journaling guy, no, I don't want to do that. So she went out and bought me a cheap notebook and said, "Here, take this and start writing anything that comes to your mind, everybody that you meet, every conversation that you have." So I kind of became addicted to journaling and began to track my thinking and my behavior and my insights and my theology. I began to deconstruct. God did not make a mistake. I
Mm.
grew up. I grew up most of my life believing that God could not make a homosexual. And so that conflict went through all of my ministries from Philadelphia to Colorado to Walnut Creek, California to Portland, Oregon, and then Spokane, Washington. I preached really good sermons. I was really good at preaching and communicating. And so the question is, you preach this gospel, but the title of my book is The Gospel of Secrets, which is a kind of an oxymoron, really, isn't it? The gospel, it really isn't about secrets. It's about freedom and it's about truth. So it's really interesting for me to come to terms with myself and then begin to reconstruct a faith, a theology, some thoughts that maybe God doesn't make mistakes. Maybe
Mm.
God does create gay people. Yeah. So that's an interesting way for me to think about how I went from being a preacher to a teacher and went from there. Yeah.
And how,
Yes.
if I may ask, how were you feeling like after one gospel and then you would be like performing? I mean, I think we can call it like you were performing, right?
Honestly, I thought I was being authentic. I thought I was being used by God. I thought, that I was really good at what I was doing and people were responding to my messages. No, I didn't feel any guilt. No, I didn't feel a tinge of problems with preaching that kind of a gospel. It was the times in which I had those urges and
Mm.
those feelings that I quickly dealt with and suppressed most of my life. Yeah, in that way.
And
Yeah.
how did you do that? Like when you were feeling these urges, what were you doing at the time?
Ah, good. You know, as a good Christian, you always pray, try to pray it out. And
Mm.
so I went to many faith healers to touch me and to anoint my head with oil so that I would be healed from this disease, that I
Mm.
would be changed, that God would change me, the core of me, so that
Mm.
I wouldn't have these urges. I got married with the thought that that's going to help. That's going to
Mm.
help curb those desires. I became a father.
Yeah.
I thought that would help change my ways. But when the day ended, I really hid and lied to my family, to my church, to my friends, to my family. Yeah,
Yeah, but you were kind of told that if you would believe enough that you would be cured. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yes, very much so.
Wow.
Exactly. Yes.
That's so interesting because I was born into Catholic environment, but it was not it was starting to fade a lot when I grew up. So I kind of experienced a little bit of it when I was
Yeah.
young, but
Yes.
not as much as you. So that's why like it's really
Yeah.
interesting to find out your way
Yeah.
of how you had to deal with that.
Yeah. One of my favorite gospel singers who was very popular in the United States in the gospel world wrote many songs. He came out as a gay guy. And of course, the whole church and Christian community came down on him. He wrote one of his first songs that he wrote was um, God Knows I Tried. And he writes these words, which I can identify with. When they said I was a sinner, I was struggling with my youth and
Mm,
with the hope that God could change me. So I believed it was the truth. I spent my whole life trying to be what they said I should, but on the inside, I was dying because I really never could. God knows I tried. He's seen every tear that I cried. God knows I tried. I was so good at pretending, like an actor on the stage. In the end, no one knew me. Only the roles that I portrayed. I love that. He goes on and talks more about it in this wonderful story. But yeah, it's a great singer, great song.
it's really it helps me a lot to understand even more because it's so easy for being outside of this and wanting to judge or not understand really like what went through, but you just explained it in such a beautiful way that it helps me to understand a lot more, which is good. Thank you very much.
Yes. There is a great book by an Australian pastor who wrote a book called The Life of Unlearning.
Mm,
And so you can say, how could a person live his life as a liar?
yeah.
Well, I was good at it, but once I began to go through therapy and began to think about this and deconstruct my faith, I really, honestly, as your listening audience, I really need to let you know that my life really needed to be a life of unlearning
Yeah.
unlearning all of these patterns of destructive behavior that I was leading. Yeah, that's really interesting. Reconstructing a new faith, a new theology, begin to do patterns. I finally got a job as a teacher and went to my school, and I told my best friend across the hallway, I said to her, I said, Marcy, I says, we're getting a divorce. And she said, "Oh no, you can't get a divorce. There's so many great therapists that can help you and your wife get back together." And I blurted it out. I said, I think I'm gay. And as it rolled out of my lips, I began to realize that was really the first time I had used that word in my entire life about myself. I think I'm gay. And
Mhm.
wow, that was such a monumental part. I know LGBT people have they put a big emphasis on coming out. And how did you come out? When did you come out? What happened? I don't, I really don't have that kind of a story. I have a dramatic story of my spouse asking me the simple question, how long have you known you were gay? So it's interesting, and then begin to develop new patterns of behavior and new understanding of who I was, that I wasn't a mistake.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, God created me just the way I am. I told my elderly mother at the grocery store one day, I said, Mom, we're getting a divorce, and you should know that I, I'm gay, I'm homosexual. And she says, "Well, when did this begin? When did this happen? I mean, are you just trying that out, or is this a new behavior? And trying to be spiritual and trying to help her understand, I said, there's a scripture verse about being formed and created in your mother's womb. And so I says, I think I was formed and created in your womb as a homosexual. Well, that wasn't good news. She just cried. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I have to be honest with you. You were talking about that you tried, and I did try to. Like, I had girlfriends, I brought them home. I saw smiles on other people's face because I had a girlfriend at home, and I tried so much too. So I can relate a little bit, not as much because I finally came out much earlier, but the pressure of trying to make other people happy and trying it's horrible. It's like
It,
it's like being in a cage. It's horrible. It's horrible.
yes. It is kind of like a prison that you construct yourself.
Yeah.
It is. We're always in trouble when we buy into other people's expectations of us instead of living our true self. Yeah.
So it was the pressure of the church that because your God to you is not what you were taught.
Right. Exactly. Yes. I just, I just read an unbelievable article because in 1946, a group of people got together and took the word perversion and inserted the word homosexual in a couple of the passages in the scripture. 1946 to 1974, that word stuck in the Bible. That's the Bible I grew up with. That homosexual was in the Bible in that particular way. It wasn't until 1974 that they kind of rethought that word, that fit. And so conservative people, not so much Catholic people, but conservative people live by the word of God. The word is kind of worshipped. I'm going to get in trouble with the audience. It's kind of worshipped above my relationship with God. It's the words, it's the physical word that dictates our life and our behavior in the way that we live our lives. It's really unbelievable in that respect.
Well, that's so interesting what you just said. Well, coming out later in life, especially as a pastor, comes with layers of fear, loss, and grief. What did you lose, and what did you finally gain?
Yeah, what did I lose? I want everybody to hear me really well. That when you choose to be authentic and to be real with yourself and with others, there's always a price. There's always a cost. I don't know if I sat down and thought about the cost, but I lost a lot of friends. I lost my family. I wish I could say today that I have this grand relationship with my wife and my two sons, but I don't. We're not in contact with each other at all. A friend of mine in Spokane told me, it's like you never existed in their lives. And that's painful. That's hard for me to deal with. I can't go back. I can't change the fact that I brought pain and hurt to their lives. I lost a career in the church, which was, now that I realize as I became a middle school teacher in Spokane, it was much more fun going to work in a middle school than it was in the church. So I kind of thought, I really should have been a teacher from the beginning, but that's okay. The expectation that I was going to be a preacher started when I was a boy. My family got together and would set up chairs in the living room, and in the back, they would do their ironing and their chores while I preached a sermon to the adults. So there was this heavy expectation that Kenny Wortley would be a good preacher and he'd go off to influence people's lives. When I came out, when I began to develop, I really gained some new insights, some new theology, new thinking. I went to a lot of gay bars thinking, well, that's where gay people hang out. So I would go to a gay bar just because I wanted to be with gay people. It was really uncomfortable being a Baptist. I didn't drink that much back then, and I didn't even know what drink to order. So as this gay couple came up and they had this little pink drink with umbrellas in it, I said, I'll take what they're having. It looks pretty good, and the bartender went, oh, brother, So I didn't want to order beer because beer, I just didn't taste really good. So I didn't find camaraderie at a bar. I didn't find this coming home feeling. I felt good because as I looked around the room, the thought was, I'm with a bunch of gay guys in a room, which was kind of free, but it was kind of empty. There wasn't kind of this sense of community. I missed the church. I missed the music and the fellowship of being with God's people. So I continued to go to churches. I love the music. I love being with people. I would kind of sit in the back, and when the preacher would get up and begin to preach about the ideal family, Adam and Eve, Mary and Joseph, I can't do this. I can't be in that kind of a situation. What are some of the things I gained? And I have to skip forward to now. I gained a new sense of what love is. What is acceptance of being in love with myself, treating my body and my mind, the fact that God has created me just the way I am. And I can celebrate that. I can go down the street to the ocean and walk in the hot sand and even jump into the water and enjoy the ocean. I'm kind of a free person. I'm kind of a free spirit today. Freedom to be me. Freedom just to be me is an immense feeling that I have. I have a partner now here. I married a Brazilian. He brings joy and he brings peace to my life. He wrote to me a kind of a little introduction to himself. And he wrote these words: when the right person enters your life, it's not just about love. It's kind of a transformation. Mm-hmm. They don't bring confusion or chaos. They bring clarity and calmness. They don't focus on your past. They see the strength in your scars. They inspire you to rise, to heal, and to grow into the person you were meant to be. It's not just a relationship. It's a partnership in becoming your best self. I love those words.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
That's kind of what we have today. That's what I gained. I was hurting really bad when I first came out in the divorce. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to live by myself. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know, what furniture to buy. So I was lost because most of my adult life, people took care of me. People served me as a pastor. People were excited to be in my presence. But then when I divorced and would stay in a small little apartment, I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I began gently losing that kind of loneliness and depression. I began to let go of the narcotics and the pills to sleep, and cleaned my body and my system of that, and continued therapy and thinking about reconstructing my faith. Yeah. Go ahead. Next one. Yeah. Or
Wow.
do you have any comments about that? What do
No,
you think?
that was so beautiful what the words that you just said, and it's no, it's like perfectly perfectly clear. That's that was wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Thank you.
about your book. Great.
Oh.
Your book is called The Gospel of Secrets. If you could summarize that new gospel in one message for the LGBTQ plus community, what would it be?
Yeah. The gospel is not a secret. Your life was never meant to be a secret. Your life was meant to have a transformative freedom about it, to be who you are. And so it does take work and energy and time to begin to heal yourself and to come out from anything that's hiding. Um, I didn't come up with the title. My publisher came up with the title because I just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and he just says, "Let's just use the word secret. You live most of your life as a secret." And I went, "Okay, so that's the gospel that I want to say in one word, that our lives are not a secret. We can have camaraderie and communion and love and transformation with other people that we meet." At the end of my book, I talk about some of the learnings that I want to continue on in my life. And one is that valuing new relationships. And so in Brazil, it's really easy because I'm a tall gringo, 6'3", blue eyes, blonde hair in this culture. And I'm a curiosity. And so when we go to a restaurant, I notice people are watching the way I eat and the way I drink. And people want to enter into a conversation with me. I love it. I'm in the best country in the world for an extrovert because I love talking to people. I love to try to practice my Portuguese, which is the hardest language in the world, I think, to learn. I've been here 7 years and I'm still not able to carry on a decent conversation. I just rode an Uber to get here tonight, and the guy said, "Wow, you've been here 7 years and you don't speak Portuguese?" And I said, "Oh, I'm trying really hard to speak enough, to speak more." But valuing relationships, new relationships that I'm come in contact with. Brazil people need me because they need to practice their English. English is really valued here in this culture. And so if they can get to be with, I don't like the word gringo, but they use the word a lot. Um, if they can come to terms and know this gringo and begin to speak in English, it really is amazing. So the gospel means freedom to me. It means transformation. It's a transformation of love. It's a memoir book. It's not really a long book. It's about 100 pages. It's an easy read. It's a lot of history of my life from Saginaw, Michigan to Brazil today. I had a I swim during the day, and one of the lifeguards is fluent in English, and he goes, "Hey, have you written a book?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Because I Googled your name and found that you wrote a book, and I ordered it from Amazon." And I went, "Wow, okay." He goes, "Your life was really sad. It was really a sad story for me to read." And I went, "Oh no, I don't want my story to be sad." He goes, "Well, I just want to know, are you okay now? I mean, you you really went through a lot of interesting stories." And I went, "Yeah, but that's the gospel. Transformation, a memoir of truth, a memoir of love that I've discovered. I'm a lucky guy. I never use the word lucky as a Christian, but I'm I'm just a very blessed and lucky guy to be in Brazil and to enjoy this culture this new world that I live in. What do you think?
Well, yeah, you're lucky. I would love to.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody that texts me or emails me, and we get to know. Yeah, our apartment is open. We have a beautiful location. They say we can get on a small boat and go across to the continent of Africa. I have to believe that. But that's part of my new faith, my new spirituality. The ocean is much bigger
Yeah.
than me, than me.
Mm.
I really believe that human beings have to have something or someone bigger than us.
Mm.
Um, the the one population calls it higher power. I, I don't know. I don't want to call it God. I don't want to call it higher power. I just want to say something larger than me. And so I take as much opportunity to walk in the hot stand and jump into that mighty ocean that pushes me around like a paper cup. It just it yeah, the waves are huge. I can smell it, I can see it, I can hear it. It's amazing. Brazilians on New Year's Eve, we all gather at the ocean with bands playing and a lot of alcohol, and we gather in white shirts and white pants. And at 11:59, we all move towards the water and we go into the water as it strikes midnight. And we kind of take a bath or a baptism of the water over our heads. We dip ourselves. They're superstitious 7 times. I don't do that. I just dip myself in the water and know that it's a new start. It's a new year. The ocean is here as my partner in spirituality. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I should go meet you on
You
1 year and do that.
you should. You should.
That,
We are in the middle of summer, of course, and it's
yeah,
hot. It's very hot. So plan a trip.
that would
I
be amazing.
Yeah, I took a trip long time ago to meet my partner in a snowstorm in Spokane. Got in an airplane and flew here, and I never regret it. When we moved to Spokane, I had to downsize long pants and shoes and shirts and neckties and suits.
Yeah.
All of that, I just donated it. I haven't worn long pants in months. I haven't worn
Uh,
shoes.
uh,
I haven't worn shoes in a long time. Flip flops. You own 2 or 3 flip flops, and yeah, you put them
okay,
by
I'm
the door.
jealous.
Yeah, there,
I'm
there,
jealous now.
there you go. I'm kind of urging you. I'm kind of laying the groundwork for you. Yeah,
Wow.
go ahead. Next question for me before I get off on Brazil too much.
Many people believe they've missed their chance to live authentically. What would you say to someone who feels it's too late to come out, change their life, or start over?
You know, I think first of all, people older in their life maybe think the cost is too much. They sit and think and dwell on who it's going to hurt and what's going to be the effect. I just don't believe, Steph, that there is a missed opportunity at any age, at any age. I know young people are doing it really well, and they have the culture and they have the history going for them. As old people, I don't want to say as old people, as we get older in our age, we put layers on our lives. We put expectations above that.
Hmm.
I just don't think is there a chance that someone believes there's a missed opportunity to be yourself?
Hmm.
With the amount of literature and writing and books and history and people all around us that are living authentic lives. I'm always delighted when I see singers, American singers. The one guy, he just came out and he's delighted and he just wrote, I can be myself. Why didn't I do this before? Um, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, Barry Manilow, someone told me, "Did you know Barry Manilow was gay?" And I went, "What? Barry Manilow is gay? You got to be kidding!" Things like that. I don't know. I don't know about the missed opportunities to come out and to be yourself. Think about the enormous price. And maybe somebody in the audience is going to write to me or send me an email and say, well, you don't know how much it's going to hurt. I do know. I do know
Yes. Yeah.
the amount of pain and the amount of suffering and the amount of hurt that I sent my family's way. I wish with all of my heart that they would contact me and they would be in touch with me. But there's no Father's Day cards. There's no Christmas cards or birthday cards coming my way, ever. It's for those years that I've lived my life in that way. I just don't think there's a missed opportunity. Assess the price, know the cost, but then think, okay, I don't know how many years and how many days we have, but I do know that that's worth it. A year ago, I had open heart surgery here in Brazil, and the cardiologist said to me, okay, are you like a smoker? And I went, no. He goes, well, I'm always curious the lifestyle that you live that would cause the kind of cardiological damage to your organ, your main organ. He goes, you don't drink? I said, nah, I don't drink. I was Baptist. I said, but I did suppress who I was as a real person. And I really do believe that it took its toll on my health, that it did affect the main organ. Now I'm much more healthy. I'm not going to say if you don't come out, you're going to have a heart attack, but I am saying that you need to think about really hard, assessing the fact that there is no lost opportunity. Yeah.
I have to disagree with one thing you said.
Yeah.
You did not send anything to your family. They sent it to themselves. You didn't
Yeah.
send anything wrong. I think that's what I came across to with me healing is that who I am, there's nothing, I didn't hurt anyone with this. It's their choice to be hurt with it. Just
Yeah.
from being who I am and from being who you are,
Right.
you didn't send nothing to it's I know it's hard, but yeah, you didn't send anything to your family.
Yeah. Um, I have a friend in Spokane, a therapist, who says, "Give him some time. Give him some time." And I went, I can't live like that. Give him some time.
Mm.
I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but one friend said, "I would give anything to have visit a relative in Brazil. I'd give anything to do that." Well, yeah, they don't see. They're not enamored by Brazil as much as I am. So yeah.
Looking back now from where you are today, how has truth changed your understanding of love, faith, and freedom?
I really believe that we are called to live our lives authentically, to live it with passion. Truth has set me free. That's a scripture. The truth truly sets me free to be who I am and to be with no counting if I'm going to make a mistake in life. I'm going to chase after what sets my soul on fire. I'm going to be true to my essence and live honestly and embrace every opportunity to dance in the authenticity of my own truth. Yeah, I'm reading from the last part of my book. Just
That's
to
great.
live, just to live with passion, not to entertain prejudices anymore. Brazil, of course, isn't a perfect nation. It's more maybe open than the United States when it comes to gay issues, but there's still a lot of violence and there's still a lot of prejudice here. Sometimes I'll come in contact with somebody who's being very homophobic, and just try to be strong and let them know that it's not right. I was at a festival with a bunch of kids, and there were about 20 kids around me, just kind of touching me and seeing what I was. And I looked at one boy who was kind of skinny and tall, and I said, "Well, are you a football player?" And they went, "No." Everybody kind of shouted, "No, no, no, no. He's gay. He's gay." They're pointing at him. He's gay. He's gay. And so I went, "Whoa, whoa, calma, calma, tranquilo, tranquilo." I said, "Is there some problema? Is there a problem here?" And they went, "No, no, 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 no." So they all kind of like back down as I kind of tried to demonstrate to them that whoever this odd looking boy is in your midst, we really can't be pointing to people and saying, "He's gay, he's gay, he's gay," without some adult, some freedom rider to
Mhm.
come in to tell the kids, "This is not right. This is
Yeah.
not appropriate." You know,
Yeah. Mhm.
let him be who he is. He's odd looking, but let him be who he is. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the kind of freedom I want in my life. And there is no missed opportunity for who I am today. Wow. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's good to be
That
here.
was really
Good to be
great.
here. I look forward to this for a long time.
Well, me too. And for sure, if I go to Brazil, I have to go and meet you. That would be cool. But you're
That
really
would be
lucky. I think that's, it's in my head. I want to end up by the ocean too. I'm the exact same. I love the ocean. We traveled a lot in Central America, South America a little bit, and
yeah.
Mexico. And this is where I feel free and alive too. And you're
Yeah.
really lucky. And I really hope that will happen to me too. This is one of my latest dreams that I really,
You're
yeah.
always welcome. You have a place. You have a place here. You're
Oh,
always welcome. Always welcome.
that would be
Email me,
lovely.
say we're coming, we're coming. Yeah. I live in a town called João Pessoa, John the Person. It is the capital city of Paraíba. It's about 1.5 million people. And right now, Brazil is getting ready for Carnival, which is
Yeah.
the largest party in the world. It's a lot of noise, it's a lot of celebration, and the streets are just jam packed full of people, tourists. So come
Wow.
when you want to, come anytime you want to. That'd be fun.
That would be incredible. Well,
You got to bring a lot of sun
yeah,
and
no.
lotion.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm learning. I'm learning. I went to a dermatologist and she says, "Oh, you no, you can't do this. You need to go in the ocean around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon." I said, "No, no, 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 no. I didn't come to Brazil to wait until 4 in the afternoon." She said, "Well, then wear a 70 plus sunscreen." So that's what I do. I look like a white monster. It's all white. Just so yeah.
But you're in the ocean in Brazil, so
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Very much so. Very much so.
Well, Ken, thank you so much. That was amazing.
Okay.
So thank you.
Take care, young man.
You too, young man. Not that much anymore. Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Ken's story shows us what happens when you spend decades performing a version of yourself just to survive, and what becomes possible when you finally step into your truth. Suppressing your LGBTQ identity doesn't just affect your heart emotionally, it can impact your mental and even physical health. But when you begin to deconstruct old beliefs, rebuild your identity on your own terms, and honor who you truly are, something powerful happens. You reclaim your pride. And at the core of it all are the three foundations we always come back to: learning to love yourself, learning to respect yourself, and learning to set healthy boundaries. That's where real freedom begins. If you've been wondering whether it's too late, this is your sign. It's not. Your life was never meant to be a secret. I'm always looking for inspiring guests for the podcast. I'd love to have you or someone you know share your journey with pride. The world needs your story. It has the power to change lives, and your voice matters. Please reach out and send me an email today. Also, I am now booking keynote speaking engagements. My talk is how I finally learned to embrace my LGBTQ identity with pride, and how you can too. Details at togethermovingforwardpodcast.com/speaking. It is already time to say au revoir just for now. So please join me every Monday and Thursday for brand new episodes of the Together Moving Forward podcast and learn how to embrace your 2S LGBTQI plus identity with pride through self-love. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode about how to love and respect yourself. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend or someone you know in our 2S LGBTQI plus community so they can help them embrace self-love. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. Wherever you're from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go, put your hand on your heart and repeat after me. Yes, you and me together. My experiences shape me, but do not define me. Yep, my experiences shape me, but do not define me. From shame, guilt, silence, and rejection, to pride, freedom, healing, and love, together we are moving forward. Thank you so much for being here with me today and for sharing this journey of growth and love. I truly appreciate you. See you real soon. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.